Your Humanities Half Hour is brought to you by the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.
Hapade Zantiro, welcome to Your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry. It's National Developmental Disabilities Month in America, and today we are joined by two individuals here to share their professional and personal perspectives on what this month means to us here in the Marianas. It's my pleasure to have John Demapan and John Cabrera. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy, for having us.
John Demapan, you are the Commonwealth Office of Transit Authority Marketing Specialist. You're also the Board Secretary for Northern Marianas Protection and Advocacy Systems and the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation Statewide Independent Living Council. Those are a lot of titles.
Yes.
Very applicable to what we're talking about today. And John Cabrera, you are the program aide at NMPOSSE. Thank you so much for being here. Can you start us off with what is National Developmental Disabilities Month?
Thank you, Kathy, again for having us. So basically, National Developmental Disability Awareness Month it's a campaign that seeks to raise awareness for the inclusions of people with disabilities in all areas of community life, such as awareness to barriers that people with disabilities still sometimes face in connecting to the communities in which they live.
I love that, and we do want to get into some of the specifics a little bit later on about what are some of the barriers you guys see here that we need to work on. But for those of us that may not really understand, what are developmental disabilities?
All right. Developmental disabilities are any type of physical or mental disability that is acquired before the age of 22 and most likely will never change and will remain permanent.
Okay, could you give us a few examples of what that might be?
Okay, one good example is like a person like me. I got into a car accident and I injured my spine. And I acquired this disability when I was the age of 6, and it's never changed until now, so it's permanent.
I see. Okay, so it's not a disability that happens because of old age, blindness, or poor or eyesight developing. May I ask, how do you see the Americans with Disabilities Act applying to your lives here in the Marianas?
I see the Americans with Disabilities Act, also known as the ADA, applied to my daily life with scenarios such as rolling my wheelchair to an accessible elevator or a ramp, or to enter my workplace at the Commonwealth Office of Transit Authority, also known as CODA, entering automatic doors to Droten stores and other establishments around the island. So yeah, those are basically prime examples of what I go through on a daily basis in terms of accessibility on our islands.
Mm-hmm. So does it seem to be working for you? Do you feel that the ADA is applied well here in the Marianas?
Well, I still feel that there still needs to be a lot of work that needs to be done in other establishments, but so far we're getting there, but we still need to do more.
Okay.
To make it accessible for all. Because right now I don't see all establishments in the community 100% accessible.
Okay, and I do want to hear a little bit later on about what specific suggestions you might have, but John Cabrera, it's both Johns here today. How about you? How do you see the ADA applying to your life?
Well, just on an everyday basis, this act goes with me everywhere, to work, to public events, making sure they got accessible bathrooms, making sure if there's a public event being held that people with disabilities are taken into consideration, have a spot for them, a line for them, and whatnot.
We were chatting a little bit before the show, and you mentioned that you would really like to take this opportunity for people to become more aware and conscious of what are the needs of people with disabilities at events, and it came to my mind, like the Flame Tree, one of the biggest events we have, and come to think of it, I haven't seen, I don't know if they have, you guys would know, do they have like disability parking at a lot of our events, festivals out on the beach type thing? What's the experience for you guys?
On a personal level, no. What we usually do is, especially with me, I use a vehicle from Coda, so sometimes we have to find a place where it's not gonna block my area to enter the Flame Tree. So, is there an accessible parking for Flame Tree and other events? It's no. We just have to make do with what we have. That's a soft pave. Sometimes we have to look for a soft pavement to enter the festivities. I feel more work can be done there.
Are there any other experiences or things you've noticed that you could share with us that would just make our community more inclusive?
So I remember this last election, I was trying to avail of this curbside voting, right? So even that wasn't a good example because I guess the voting commission or whatever, they weren't too sure, the staff, how to go about this curbside voting. So I got two different answers on that day. I got someone that said I was able to vote on the curbside, and then someone said I wasn't able to vote curbside, that I had to request that type of assistance in advance.
So what does that curbside voting really mean? How does that work?
I guess it was just like you pull up to the curb and they guess you vote in your car or whatever.
Which would have been a lot easier.
Easier for me, because I don't want to get down. I don't want to wait in line under that sun. And I believe it was COVID that time.
Yeah, with your mask on. Yeah, okay. So I think this is a really good opportunity for us to reflect on how inclusive we are.
Yeah, it just goes to show how easy it is to overlook a person with a disability. Maybe not intentionally, but most often.
Have you seen any change in the attitudes or awareness that we have here in the Marianas over your lifetime? You both are young adults. Do you think there's been a change, and has it been enough of a change?
Yes, I feel there's a change because as growing up as an elementary school kid, there's a lot of curious kids around you, curious classmates around you. But as you get older, they start to understand, that disabilities are part of the human nature of life. So I mean, there's still some adults that ask, "Why are you in the wheelchair? Why are you like this?" Well, they ask it in a discreet way, but there are some people that just ask without asking if it's okay for to ask it. They just ask it out of the blue without getting
directly.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
So if I don't know the person personally, and you're just a random guy off the street, well, obviously I'm gonna be resistant a little bit. But if you approach me, if I don't know you, but you approach me calmly, hey, I just want to know, what happened to you? Then maybe I'll be. But if you're just gonna run up to me and ask me, I'm gonna feel a little bit uncomfortable.
That would be kind of rude,
Yeah.
running up to somebody and asking them a personal question like that.
Yes.
Yeah. How about you, John? What kind of, have you seen any change in attitudes and awareness?
Not so. I believe it'll be just forever stereotypes, stigmas. But for one, awareness, man, a good example was I was in Tinian last week, right?
Yeah.
And there's this new hotel or motel that just opened up, right?
Yeah.
And then come to find out they don't have an accessible room for an individual with a disability, right? Physical or mental. So it makes me wonder, since my times as a youth, going down there in the Dynasty times, the Dynasty was already ADA. And we're in 2021 and these folks still turn a blind eye to this stuff. So I'm thinking about the next John that's coming up, right? trying to open the doors for these two. Because, man, it feels bad. Like, I cannot get a room, right? I'm a paying customer, too. I'll pay for that room, but they didn't have an accessible room, bathroom, those type of stuff. So I want to bring awareness to that. These places are obligated by law to have an accessible room.
That's a good point. Would you say there have been any significant successes or steps forward that we've made in your lifetime or in your adulthood?
For me, yes. I feel that we have more employment opportunities now, more affordable housing options, and reliable and accessible public transportation services for people with disabilities and the general public. So yes, I do feel that we do have some successes, throughout the dark clouds in the community. So yes.
How about you, John? What do you think?
Yeah, I also like to say CODA. CODA's been a long time coming, and CODA's here, so it's been good for the people that want to get around in the community who cannot, access a taxi, a regular taxi or whatnot, Uber.
I want to thank you because, number one, when we were preparing for the show and we were talking, I mentioned handicap parking. And John Demapan very nicely corrected me that it should be called disability parking.
Or accessible parking.
Or accessible parking.
Yes.
And I really appreciate the fact that I messed up because I didn't know better, and you guys corrected me very graciously. Do you have any advice for people like me who may not be very well versed in the world of disabilities on how we can approach these topics or discussions and do it sensitively but also frankly? What are your thoughts on that?
Part of the barriers right now is people first language. It's the person first before the disability. So for me, all it takes is awareness. It takes one person to tell another person to tell another person. So basically, I'm going to give you an example. The handicapped person on a wheelchair. The proper way of saying that is person using a wheelchair. Not person confined to a wheelchair, not person that's sick, and another example is they used to call it mental retardation. Now it's person with a mental illness. So basically, remember the person before the disability, basically.
Yeah.
And all it takes is one person to correct another person, and it's going to be a domino effect.
So that's a key takeaway.
Yes.
is to acknowledge that we're all people first.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe just be
Proactive.
more sensitive, but not too sensitive to the point where it's like pity, right? So no pity, and I cannot blame the people for being curious or asking those type of questions. It's maybe they're just trying to understand. But like John said, yeah, I still get those from the kids, asking, they're curious, asking questions, why am I in the wheelchair, those type of stuff. So just be aware that we are out here and include us in whatever you guys got going on.
Well, we're chatting today with John Demapan and John Cabrera about National Developmental Disabilities Month and how it applies to their lives, and we'll be back with more after this break.
Hafaday, Tito, and greetings from the Northern Marianas Humanities Council. This is Board Chairman Isa Ariola. We are so pleased to be celebrating our 30th anniversary this year with you. Our mission remains to navigate and explore the human experiences of the indigenous and diverse peoples of the Commonwealth by enriching their lives through research, dialogue, programs, and publications. If you have not yet participated in any of our council activities, make this your year. We look forward to welcoming you into our humanities family as we navigate the human experience together.
Half a day. Paguna-Sakkan, te celebra imina 30 años desde Anamanaguaha Northern Marianas Humanities Council. In Northern Marianas Humanities Council, manazutuda gi comunidad para u abiba ilinala todo Tauta Marianas. thought kumi ajudu kiman ilo information dan tilingo pun Marianas. I ajudu kimafatinas leblus an otuna documentu. I ajudu siya ginini exhibitioni differentes na programanya siya zan hanagwagwaha conversacion gientuli tauto Marianas. In kumbibidaham tu todo para indanyai I Humanities Council di actividad siya ni managwagwaha pagunasaktan. Pues maila za tafana abisita, tafana iliye yesti siya na actividad za ta celebrate si Sus maasit.
Welcome back to Your Humanities Half Hour. We're chatting with John Demapan. He is with the Commonwealth Office of Transit Authority as Marketing Specialist, also Board Secretary of NMPOSSE and the OVR Statewide Independent Living Council. And also John Cabrera, he's a program aide here at NMPOSSE. So guys, do you live independently, and can you tell us about that?
Yes, for me personally, I live independently, but I live with siblings. But I'm able to make my informed choices, and I'm able to make my informed choices of how I want to live my life, and to be successful.
What kind of choices have you made to better your life?
So basically, although I live in the home with my siblings, I can make the choice of like where I want to go. If I feel like going somewhere today, going to a cafe, or going to an event, or going to work, or staying home from work, if I'm not feeling well or anything.
You're fully independent then. You make all the decisions for your life, it sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. How about you, John Cabrera?
Yeah, also me, I live independently. I got a pad of my own. I drive a car with the assistance of an assistive technology, which helps me get around an island. So basically, yeah, I do live independently, pay bills and those stuff.
Yeah, well, that's definitely living independently is paying bills. Are there services or offices, for example, John, you're with the Statewide Independent Living Council, that help people with disabilities live independently, and what kind of help do they offer?
Okay, yes. There's this center up in Capitol Hill called the Center for Living Independently, and that's being handled by Mrs. Susan Sator. So basically, she trains like high school students and people that have transitioned out of high school to live independently. Like she does planting activities, cooking, some laundry here and there. So I mean, I encourage people to give her a call and see what her program's all about. That's one good way of really teaching people to live independently is going through her. It's called the Center for Living Independently. And the executive director is Susan Sator. It's Mrs. Susan Sator.
Okay, great. So, do you feel there are any barriers we still need to work on, either institutionally or as individuals in the community, when it comes to awareness of developmental disabilities or services?
Thank you, Kathy, for that question. So basically what I touched base earlier, I feel that there should be more awareness campaigns and maybe small seminars in schools regarding the People First language etiquette.
Ooh,
because
okay.
Especially like I talked about earlier, kids are the most curious minds, the most curious, innocent minds in the world, in society right now. So I feel that maybe we can do more trainings on People First language and from the elementary level to the high school level, and maybe do some YouTube videos and publish it on Facebook for awareness purposes. Just especially now we live in the digital world. I feel that if we can get that going, little at a time, we can remove these unnecessary terms that we use for people with disabilities.
What do you feel are some of those unnecessary terms that we need to get rid of?
So the common one is handicap, mental retardation, crippled. Like what John said, so some are not. For some people, it's not their fault.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that with more awareness, we can lessen that those words being used out in public, because for some it's offensive, but for the person using it towards the person with disability, they might not know.
Yeah.
So they're,
I think in a lot of cases, probably they don't know
yes.
that those terms are not welcomed or shouldn't
Yes.
be used. One of the things we wanted to do was really put a face on people with disabilities. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to share with us a little bit about yourselves so that we could actually get to know your personalities a little bit more and what's important to you in life.
Okay, so basically what you're asking is, who is John Demapan?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Beyond the wheelchair. So I want the public to know that John Demapan, which is me, is an outgoing, approachable person with spiritual values for a better world for persons with disabilities and people without disabilities.
That's pretty deep.
Yes, I'm a very spiritual person behind closed doors. So.
I think you and I first met when you were interested in becoming a reporter, a news reporter, way back
yes.
when. Yeah.
That's still a dream of mine.
Really?
The journalism and politics or any leadership positions is still a dream of mine to accomplish.
Cool.
Oh, you remember that?
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah.
For me, I'm more behind the scenes kind of guy. So I do it now. I find myself doing it a lot for the youth. Doing it for the next John that's coming up, open up the doors for him, and same. At the end of the day, we're all normal people with just the same intentions. Want to have fun, want to live life, right?
Absolutely. So looking ahead, what's on the horizon for you guys, either personally or professionally? Do you have any goals you're working towards or dreams?
Yes, I have 3 dreams actually.
All right.
So I don't, if I could share.
Absolutely.
So my first dream is working my way up alongside with my boss, Frida Camacho Martita. She's the special assistant for public transportation. I want to work with her more on the marketing aspect of CODA and possibly assuming a marketing supervisor role in the near future, with her blessing, of course.
Uh-huh.
And my second dream is to become executive director for either OVR, which is the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation, or DD Council, which is the Developmental Disabilities Council. And my last dream, other than journalism, is to run for a politician, maybe a House of Representatives in the near future.
How about you, John?
Man, like I said, I'm more a behind the scenes kind of guy. So I was just trying to be the best program mate that I can be, but with the motivation and talks from my coworkers, they're trying to get me to move up, elevate in work. So probably be going back to college next semester and knock that out of the park.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Guys, I really want to thank you for making time to share today, and I hope that our chat will really spread some awareness and education, on developmental disabilities and what we can do as a community and individuals to be more inclusive. Any final thoughts before we go?
Yes, before I share my final thoughts, Kathy, thank you for having me and the two Johns here with you for Developmental Disability Awareness Month. Thank you for having us. I would like to ask people with disabilities to embrace their disability and do positive things with it, and to also help our community to give respect to people with disabilities and recognize them for their talents and contributions to society, and to see them for who they are beyond their disability.
Thank you too, Miss Kathy, for bringing awareness to the Disability Awareness Month through your talk show. Really appreciate it.
Well, we've been chatting today with John Demapan. He is with the Commonwealth Office of Transit Authority as Marketing Specialist, also Board Secretary for NMPOSSE. He's also with the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation Statewide Independent Living Council, and also John Cabrera. He's Program Aide at NMPOSSE. Thank you so much for your time and your thoughts.
Thank you, Miss Kathy.
Thank you.
This has been your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry.
This program was supported by a We the People grant awarded to the Northern Marianas Humanities Council from the National Endowment for the Humanities. Any views, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily represent those of the National Endowment for the Humanities or the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.